Material Components, Season 2, Episode 58, Freehold Freedom. Greetings and welcome to Material Components, the actual play RPG show all about a galaxy of magic and the adventurers who live there. I am your humble Dragon Master, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, are my stalwart adventurers. Hey, adventurers. Thanks for being here.
Heck yeah.
How you doing?
Well, Timber's not excited to be here. Timber, the dog on my bed, is whining that she doesn't get a play. No, this is my game to play, not hers.
We're all very sad that there are not more dogs on this podcast.
That's true.
Hey, everybody. I'm Olivia, and I am playing Florian of Akalar.
I'm Elliot, and I am playing Shay.
I am Michael, and I'm playing Oswald Octavian Theophilus, the yet-to-be-determined.
And I'm Reed, and I'll be playing Amari.
Indeed. And of course, before we begin today's session, I would like to remind all my players that I gave you a perfectly acceptable species of dog people you could have been playing as, and you chose not to. But
Mike,
moving
I
on.
was so close. I was so close.
I gave everyone a furries playground in this place, and only one of you chose to play as an anthro. I mean, I guess kind of Oswald as well, but...
Furry is sort of a tricky...
Oh, no, he's a scaly.
label.
He's a scaly.
Feathery.
All three of us, except for Elliot, are furries.
And I guess I just gave away my predilections. Moving on. I must ask the same question I ask every time, and that is, Reed, do you remember what happened last time?
I do, yes. And it is not a good spot where we're leaving us off. Shit has kind of gone south for us. We have lost our primary contact in Victoria Silvaro has flipped yet again back to Aegis Tech Solutions side, giving up all of the information on us and our whereabouts on the Storm's Repose. We had a meeting with Mr. Zinn about our current situation and the danger that we now find ourselves in, and what we're basically planning to do now that we have rescued a artificial intelligence Fae hybrid known as Mara, who is, how old did you say? 11, 12, 13, 48. How old is Mara? Remind me.
She appears to be a elvish child in early adolescence, perhaps 12, 13.
A youth.
That is what she looks like, yes.
Yep. Great, cool. But having rescued her from Aegis Tech, they now are on full-blown warfare mode, hunting us down. Hiring bounty hunters and all sorts of people of ill repute to capture us dead or alive and return Mara. So following our conversation with Mr. Zinn about our next plan, he offered to allow us to meet the Archproctor and gave us a location for us to, scamper on off to, a location none of us had been to previously. So that'll be fun when we get to it. But before we were able to leave the Storm's Repose in our ship, Duma kind of said his last goodbyes, which was sad, but plausible deniability is a great thing to have when you're being hunted by galaxy-wide super mega corporation. But the rest of us decided to disguise ourselves and return to our own rooms to pick up the last few of our personal effects before taking off from the Storm's Repose for the last time. Elliot met up with Jeffathy and was promptly, as Elliot put, cock-blocked. Unfortunately, I know we were all looking forward to that interaction. I miss Jeffathy.
I do too. I miss him already.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Oswald attempted to regain access to his room. Now someone else's room, the new Oswald Octavian Theophilus III, and utilized Mara's ability to override the systems of the Storm's Repose to lock their sibling in there after several failed rolls to convince them otherwise.
I mean, locking is a minor expression of what I did. Technically, I sealed them in.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
Meaning there's no... the only way to get them out now is through a mechanical saw of some sort. So,
Blowtorch.
Yeah,
Go through
you
the
know.
wall.
yeah.
You did meet the Crystal Pepsi of the Oswald siblings, and like Crystal Pepsi, locked it away to be forgotten.
Yeah.
What a way to describe someone, Mike. That is
What an
that is
accurate
harsh.
way.
Oof.
It is not harsh if it's true. Well, actually,
yeah,
no, I think it still is harsh. I don't know. Either way.
Following that wonderful interaction for Mara's budding personality, Florian went back to his room and found that a number of his plants that he had been keeping have since escaped somewhere into the Storm's Repose. The vents above their pots where they were being kept have since been opened, and the remnants of their traversal to the vents have given pause for who knows what might be happening inside the vents of the Storm's Repose, now being overrun by giant plant monsters. I'm sure it's fine. Not our problem, as Olivia said earlier.
It's being handled, I'm sure.
Top men.
Yep, top men.
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 And then I myself, as Amari, had a wonderful disguised as everyone's favorite gun mage, Axel Amandito. On my way to pick up my personal effects from my room, as Axel Amandito, Amari ran into a significant other of Axel Amandito, claiming that Axel should know specifically what day it was. Clearly, they have some sort of relationship. I think it was implied that they have a child, and that it was his turn to look after said child because she had work that she had to go to. And I proceeded to have Axel really make sure his wife checked him on his shit, and hold him accountable to his actions. Yeah. And finally, after picking up my equipment from my room, Amari had a run-in with Harcourt, who has recently been onboarded to the Storm's Repose.
Yes, indeed. That former Imperial Marine / cultist had taken to his word and joined the Khol Foundation and taken up upon the Storm's Repose as they were onboarding new employees. And on your way out the door, you said, "Hi, bye."
As Axel Amandito, right?
Yep.
Right? Yep. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure I got that right. Yeah, and then finally we took off.
Yes, indeed.
Out into the unknown.
-1 pilot, but with your other companions, Kala, the Taro net technician, and Vesnis Rosek, the Cogrish. You don't quite know what her deal is. You have cast out into the inky blackness of space, and now find yourselves free to move about the galaxy. The Dragon's Wake is yours, Oracle Zero, if that is even what you intend to keep calling yourselves now that you are disentangling yourself from the Khol Foundation. That designation has lost some of its meaning at this point.
Yeah, come up with a
Super
new
hyper
name.
alpha.
Super. No.
It's just one better.
I mean, The Tiresian is.
We can't really be that either because we can't, like, they're tracking the Tiresian, so.
The Mira's room.
I mean, we
Airtight.
could just call us like the Good Trouble or whatever.
The GT.
We're good trouble.
It's
So-
actually what we just named a ship in my Star Wars campaign. So
you go.
y'all have the effects of this game are bleeding out into other galaxies, even if
Oh
they are
god,
far away.
multiverse.
So you're
Yeah.
saying the unified Omatep timeline has spread to campaigns that I am no longer
Oh.
running.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
It's
no.
you know what? It actually has also spread to the game. I mean, it's null and void right now. It's on a hiatus, we'll say. But it actually has also spread to my timeline through Magna and Merrimack. They are
Excellent.
both side
shit.
characters in
And like that, my influence grows.
Yeah, so kind of Shay's first order of business is like, I don't know if we want to do this before we jump or after, but Shay and Kala is gonna ask Kala and maybe get Mira's help to like fuck with the ship so that it can't be tracked, or maybe cloak it even just temporarily till we get a more long-term solution.
That would be something you could do to get out of the Gob War system where you currently are, orbiting near the Ogre homeworld. But yes, that is a short-term solution that you can't do what Kala was doing to like mask your signature all the time. That would require constant effort, so it'd be very difficult to continuously do.
Yeah.
But that is a stopgap solution you could do to at least get out of the system. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'll say like, hey, Kala, we gotta do that thing that we were doing when we were messing around on not Titian, that's a painter.
Teoshin.
Teoshin.
Mhm.
Just for a little while until we can get out of the system.
And actually, even to readjust slightly, the problem isn't leaving the system. You can leave the system easily.
Well, right.
The problem is showing up somewhere else and the Tiresian pinging on a comm buoy or a warp waypoint, something like that, just basically tracking your progress.
Yeah.
So how does one go about like changing that? Is it really built like integrated into the ship itself, or is it like you just go down to your local Radio Shack and pick up like a new tags or whatever, you know?
No, it's harder than that, because each ship, because of how like etheric technology works, each ship, like each person, has its own kind of signature to it, its own little waveform, and changing that is really difficult. It involves either like putting a lot more power into your ship to make it look bigger, making it a lot less power so it looks smaller, changing the way the systems work in some very like specific ways in order to change how that signature pings, or just like totally rebuilding the ship from scratch.
That
So
sounds like
there are ways to
something-
do it, but it's complicated.
I'd be curious to know how Mira might be able to either temporarily or more permanently handle that.
Yeah. I think for now we should just, for now let's just get out of the system.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a destination in mind?
Just anywhere else.
That's a,
We're, we don't have coordinates for where Mr. Zinn
Not yet.
wants us to go. So I guess, yeah, we can probably kind of just go anywhere a little bit.
yeah, he had said he would be in contact with coordinates once you weren't being tracked, essentially.
Yeah. So let's see. God War is right here.
Yes, to give our listeners a bit of knowledge, Gobwar on the galactic map is in the southern reach. The Dragon's Weight Galaxy is split roughly into 4 quadrants. The southern reach is, or at least it was, a little bit of a no man's land between the 2 largest galactic civilizations, that being the Canis Empire and the Minos Dominion. Obviously, the Minos Dominion, post the last war, is a bit of a non-factor at this point. And so the Southern Reach has sort of blossomed as a place of enterprise and a place where people looking to build themselves up and establish themselves as some kind of power can now move about freely without worrying about 2 warring factions stepping on them.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, though, is like, right, like how far can we even get? Like, it's not super far.
No, and the capabilities of the Teresian to warp, yeah.
Yeah, could we, like, get to Dalthul?
Dalthul,
Or
yeah,
is
absolutely.
that even too far? Okay.
It would take a
That's
couple
like
of
the
jumps, but you could
closest-
absolutely do it.
Okay. So should we go in that direction or towards...
What is Dalthul?
Yeah, I was just
I
about to
don't know.
ask.
Dalthul is one of those big Akasi worlds that have the big warp gates at them. There are 4 of those planets throughout the galaxy.
Interesting.
Well, that might not
Dalthul,
be a-
Janzathoth, Efriyog, and Mariagon are the 4 worlds.
Well, maybe we should head that way, just since it's got a warp gate and we don't really have anywhere else that we need to go.
If we want it, because our options are get rid of the ship or change it significantly enough to where it won't be tracked. If we wanted to tinker with the ship's inner workings, with more than what we have capability-wise, where would be a good place to go? I'm assuming maybe
That's a good
any
question.
major planet.
Yeah. Even Gobwar, the planet you're currently orbiting, has like large urban centers, though you'd find a lack of etheric specialists here. All
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
etheric specialists on Gobwar would be of different cultures and interests, not necessarily
Yeah.
neutral parties from this planet. If you wanted to look up in your little Rolodex, Atlas, Google Maps, essentially.
Yeah. Or do we want to go somewhere that's well populated, or do we want to go somewhere that's out of the way? Somewhere where people who don't want to be found go.
I mean, yeah. I don't have this. It's more of a flavor thing. It's like not on my character sheet, I guess, but I have some experience with that. I guess I don't know where I would have gone after leaving Wesrin Izald.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, laying low.
Okay. Would you want to retread someplace you've been before?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Wesrin Izald, though, as I'm looking now, I am suddenly realizing isn't actually on the galaxy map that I've given you all. Is, in fact, in the Western Reach. So after leaving there, you would have probably headed towards the Southern Reach because it's less imperial, and that seemed to be the main motivating factor with you leaving that place.
Yeah.
And one of the first worlds you would have come across once you get outside of the Empire's sort of reach is a place called Seawell. It is a world controlled by the Freehold republics, which is probably the 2nd largest Midrian culture in the galaxy. It is a collection of, like it says on the label, republics that came together to form a large government based on the principles of democracy as opposed to imperialism and, empire. They have existed for just as long as the Empire, though they have taken many different forms over the centuries. The basis of their culture sprang mostly from older Midrian cultures. The Stetter communities are well represented in the Freehold republics. And yeah, like I said, Seawell is one of the worlds you would have visited first. It is an mostly oceanographic world. All of its civilization centers are on these island chains that are formed by large volcanoes that dot the world. It is a relatively young planet as far as planets go. But it does have quite a few shipyards because it can produce spaceships in large bodies of water. Is a good place to build spaceships if you're going to do it on a planet.
Fair enough. Probably take a little longer to get there than Dalthul.
It's relatively close, but yes. I would say it's probably farther out towards the galactic rim, kind of back towards where you were coming from, towards Noku. But it is closer towards the western reach. So from where you are in Gobwar, you're kind of moving in a southwesterly direction.
Okay.
Is there any like megacorp presence on Seawell?
Yes, that goes without saying.
Okay, like is there anyone in particular?
Or
The
is
only
it
world
just all of the above?
I mean, yeah, you'd have a little bit of everything.
Okay, so I'm just saying it's not like
it's not a corporate world.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, the only planet you've been to so far with zero corporate presence would have been Akalar at this point.
Yeah. A paradise.
Right.
Yeah,
I just don't mean like I mean there's not
Much-
like one that's running the show here. Like, you know, if it was a ship manufacturing place, this entire place is for the most part run by one Vorpal Corp shipyard.
And that's honestly like one of the reasons the Freeholds are considered something of a second tier civilization in the galaxy is they have such tight restrictions on galactic corporations that like the best tech isn't making it to their worlds.
Come on, you guys. It's the free market. If corporations want to create monopolies, they should just be allowed to do that. No regulations.
You know, if they just want to buy Twitter, you know, they can do that.
Dating this episode. Excellent.
Timber heard about that. She's not impressed.
No. Nothing impresses her, actually.
I will say that the biggest thing you all know about the Freeholds is that they have a very contentious relationship with the Empire, and they are kind of constantly a thorn in the Empire's side. But now that the Empire doesn't have to deal with the Dominion, there's this big looming question about, is the Empire just going to sweep in and crush the Freeholds one by one? It hasn't happened yet, but it is sort of a looming thing that everyone's sort of thinking in the back of their minds if they think about galactic politics at all.
Yeah. It's like, guys, get a hobby. Jesus.
But they're well known
for their
for
hobby.
Kind of backhandedly fucking with the Empire's dealings. And the most notable way they do that is through their corsairs, as they're called. Basically pirates that, while they're never officially confirmed to be backed by the Freeholds,
they're privateers. Come on.
It's called civil disobedience. Look it up.
Guys, we have a new
I know. That's our
yeah,
whole
no,
campaign.
Shay is like elaborating all of this stuff. Like
okay, but
Space
like
pirate?
what if
Space
we were
pirate?
space pirates with a super hyper powerful Fae Queen AI?
we wouldn't be taken down right away at all. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Hey Mira, I know we told you like don't do stuff without people's permission, but actually we changed our minds. Fuck with these people who we hate because we're
Actually,
pirates now.
Actually, stealing is
power
cool. Yeah.
It's a free market.
So you tell her
It's
that?
a free.
Yeah. No, who would honestly do something?
Wasn't in my character voice. But I am saying all the other stuff in my character voice. Like, I just don't want to, obviously repeat all the stuff that Mike has just said.
Yeah,
but
that's
just
fair.
like, yeah, hey, this place was a place I went to lie low a little bit, and it has a bunch of stuff. So,
Yeah, that sounds
ship scraps.
Sounds good. What exactly are we going to need to change about the ship? Is it something that we don't know what to do, or is it something we know what to do but just don't know how to do it?
Should ask
I'll take
your
that as a
ship's
we don't know.
engineer.
Oh,
Yeah, and like, right,
Oh, wait.
I haven't been like all through this. Listen, when we stop jumping at our next stop, when we're cooling down, I'll like start taking a look at the ship and kind of figuring out all the stuff I need to figure out. Okay.
where did Duma keep the instruction manual? I'm sure he must have kept it somewhere, right? It's just.
Oh yeah, it's right here. And Shay like kicks a panel that's like under the like steering area, and like a huge booklet falls out.
Oh, excellent. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'll start reading that once we're out of work.
It's just a
In
fake
fact-
book. Every page just says, "What?
Look
We're
it up.
in space. We're in space
It's just
future."
It's just a
What?
QR code.
Every
Yeah.
page is actually a table of contents for a different book that is located on the data pads that are also connected to the key ring, which is connected to
Yeah.
the book.
Yeah. So I'll like import all this to my data pad and I'll actually start reading it in the isolation chamber when we're in warp.
All right. Well,
So, with that in mind, who is flying the ship?
great question.
I mean, Amari, I assume.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that has anything in pilot.
I have a D4.
Okay.
But you
Co-pilot,
can't
baby.
fly the ship because you have to navigate us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Co-pilot.
So I do have a talent called More Than Machine. So hopefully that is slightly applicable here. I know normally I've been using it for mech related shenanigans, but you know.
I would say for the purposes of making the ship more of an extension of yourself, it might apply, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
What is a
Just-
ship but a mech without arms? You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. They both have chairs. What's the difference?
Right.
Yeah.
You've been driving a Toyota your entire life, and suddenly you're behind the wheel of a 16-wheeler, and you're just like, oh, the principle is the same.
Same shit,
Yeah.
different day. You know.
Shout out to avid listener Elliot's mom who did do that once.
Yep.
I'm sure it went well.
It did, surprisingly.
Oh, that's great.
So what we need to do is call Elliot's mom.
Yes,
Mm.
she's been
Show
dying
us
to get
how
on the
to-
show, so
Yeah.
Yes. Who is this Elliot, and where can we find their mother?
They're a powerful wizard.
Oh.
my mom would definitely be a magus, honestly.
Look, there are 13 of them. We got plenty of options.
Oh yeah. So Mike, are you looking for a role to pilot this, or just
I'm really just curious who is behind the wheel right now.
I'll do it. Yeah,
'Cause
Amari will be.
What you're doing right
driving.
now isn't fancy flying. You're just pulling onto the freeway, so it's not exactly rocket science right now. Yet.
There aren't any rockets. They're all crystals and energy based.
It's true.
It's not crystal science.
Yeah.
This isn't rocket etherics. Anyway. I just wanted to know who was literally sitting in the chair in case, stuff happens.
Who's flying the plane?
So as you warp out of God War, your destination is the planet of Seawell in the Seawell Freehold. It is the only habitable planet in this system. The others are a really large gas giant near the outside of the orbital perimeter and several large moons that orbit Seawell itself. These moons are mostly used for aethite and aethium mining to funnel into the shipyards of Seawell. The travel there is unremarkable, though a little exhausting for your technician ally, Kala, as she has to basically use every trick in the book every time you drop out of warp in order to mask your position in the galaxy, as there are comm buoys and warp centers, basically like points in space where you can warp to safely, and there are little positioning essentially computers there to make sure that ships aren't warping on top of each other. Which would be bad.
Yeah.
And so she is having to work to basically hide the fact that it's you every time you pop out of the void. Otherwise, certain people might be able to catch up with you a lot more quickly.
Yeah. Is that something Kala might need help with? Or is that just something that she just needs to, like, just be focused on for the entirety?
She needs to be focused on it, and she's making it very, very clear that, yeah, she can do this for now. This isn't something she can keep doing ad infinitum. Like, once you're out of warp and, like, landed on a planet, unless she's doing this constantly, somebody is going to pick up on the signature of your ship and ping it for what it is. And at that point, information might eventually get back to Aegis Tech. It's not going to be an instantaneous thing unless they have some way of tapping into every single scanning system in the galaxy, and then she says it and it's just like this dead silence after that.
Yeah.
We're all just sort of staring at each other like
unless they were somehow a company that had their hands in like every piece of tech.
Well, not
like everywhere.
I mean,
all like communications and like transport and
systems.
Yeah.
Keurigs, all of it.
Yeah.
You really don't want the Fae to get their hands on coffee. No. Like, honestly, you don't. No. It's bad.
So the fact that, I mean, the Tiresian more than likely has the IFF system, like, and they track through that? We don't know.
You really don't.
Yeah. Man, I have a long... Shay in the isolation chamber thinking about it was like, man, I have a lot of stuff to do when we get to see, well, fuck.
It takes you a few warps to get to Seawell. It's the better part of a day's journey. Because again, how warping works is you do that 3-minute jaunt through the void. It's horrible. It's awful. You feel the dark twisting energy seeping in from the outside of your ship. Some of you more than others.
Not me. Feel great.
Yeah, actually, Amari, you are not affected by the journey and transition whatsoever.
Weird.
Some of us need beverages to get through it, okay?
It's 3 minutes.
It's 3 terrible minutes.
That's more than 200 full seconds. So
yes.
Florian,
I was just about to ask Mike.
That's not more than 200 whole seconds.
To roll me a d20, if you please.
Ooh. I have to find a fancy d20.
Doesn't have to be fancy, but all right.
Well, then I have to find a d20.
Okay.
Do you want me to roll for you?
No.
That came out like a threat.
Situation.
My dice bag was right in front of me. I just am stupid. It's fine.
No, you're great. It's all good. I'm just hoping low numbers.
I just don't have them ready for, anymore.
My favorite lines. Olivia, don't talk about my friend like that. You're not stupid.
I mean, hey.
You're just a little goofy.
Yeah.
You rolled low on your perception check, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It was so close to being a natural 20, which I know doesn't count in this universe, but I don't add anything to it. It's a 14.
14. Okay. Yeah. The journey passes as normal. Oswald, you imbibe in 12 Loco, brought to you by Vorpal Corp.
Yeah. Yeah. It really
hard.
Drink hard.
Drink hard. It really softens the edges of a stressful day.
It can also soften the edges of any standard cube-shaped metal.
Yes.
It's very true.
Mm-hmm. It rounds objects in your vision. It's just
who needs
strange.
sandpaper?
It lubricates engines. And not
valves.
that anybody uses engines, but yeah, it's multi-purpose.
Cog might.
Mm-hmm. That's true. The
cog definitely do.
As you find yourselves in the Seawell system, you find a solar system, much as I described. a single watery world, relatively large as far as terrestrial, like Goldilocks worlds go, and an enormous gas giant on the perimeter of the system. Entering, you watch as Kala feverishly works at the communications console on the bridge, trying to mask your signature once again, and she looks haggard and harried. It seems as though she is doing everything in her power to make this function quickly and unsuspiciously, but there's a look on her face that's telling you it's like she's not even sure how well this is working. And
last time, don't worry.
As you make it into the system, she lets out a sigh and turns to whoever else is on the bridge. I'm assuming Shay would be cracking open the isolation pod and coming out into view, and Amari is there at the wheel.
Yep. It's like crawling out of the...
But she would turn, most likely to you, Amari, and say, I don't know if this is going to work many more times.
I mean, is there any way we can use Mara's skills to help bolster these at all? Is there anything we can teach her? I don't know.
It's not... I mean, she could replicate what I'm doing pretty easily, I suppose. What with whatever it is she's done to the ship's systems. It's just... every time we do this, it's basically making it look like a different ship is popping into the place where we're coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all well and good, but as soon as we land somewhere, they're going to see our ship. I can fool senses, I can't fool eyes.
Okay. Can we... So we're fabricating, we're basically stealing someone else's identity to, appear as someone else. Can we fabricate an
I
entirely
wish
new
I
one?
had that sort of time. I was just making up random signatures, and as soon as we try to get into a place that can actually double check those things, automated comm buoys is one thing. An actual security system on a planet, they'll be able to double check these sorts of things.
Okay, so what do you suggest we do?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I know, and I'm asking you. Never been on the run before, so this is kind of new. I mean, can we ditch the ship somewhere and take the shuttle and figure out a way to purchase another ship?
We don't have the shuttle. Remember?
Shit.
Duma took
Nope.
that.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
Trying to remember. Are there any ports on this island that don't, or on this planet that don't ask a lot of questions?
Why don't you roll me a d20?
Oh, a d20. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
I don't think so.
What did you roll?
It's not D&D,
it is.
Yes, a 1.
A 1, you say? Yeah. So no, there are no ports that you can think of that don't ask any questions. What you do know about is a certain dock administrator that takes bribes.
Classy.
Which is how you found your way here to begin with. Somebody who, for enough jewels, will... Oh, look at that. This particular berth just happens to be under maintenance. No ship here.
Yeah. So, I mean, how many jewels do we have left over?
I can answer that question. Give me one moment.
Florian.
Sorry, you're oh no, this is Olivia. Your data pad is taking a while to load.
Yeah.
As it pulls up your account.
Where did I put this? I need to clean up my stuff on this data pad.
Just a quick question. Did we
20?
ever upgrade our security at all?
Are you... To what?
Like our data pads and
I mean,
everything?
my data pads are all secure.
Okay. Was a thing that Mr. Zinn had said that we should look into upgrading our security before shit broke bad.
He did say that.
Yeah. Just remembering that now.
Well,
I don't know how much it helps us now. I'm just saying.
Add that to my ever-growing list of things I need to do, apparently.
Elliot.
For everyone else's stuff.
Elliot, 23,895.
Oh, that's how many jewels we have. So, I don't know, inflation rates have probably gone a bit up from my whole thing, and depends on if they know why we'd be bribing them in the first place, but it should be fine.
And the person you're looking for is in a little out-of-the-way trading post called Port Izel.
Port Izel.
And the portmaster there is named Imel. Portmaster Imel. And yes, he is as crooked as they come.
what was the name of the port again?
Port Izel.
Port Izel.
Imel and Izel.
I rolled randomly for those names. It just happened to start with the same letter.
Port Izel. Nice.
Do we just call this guy? Hey, what up?
I mean, we can just probably go to the birth or whatever and just put down, and he'll probably walk out and be like, okay, it's they might have more character than that.
Yeah.
Is this like a... Can we just show up without announcing ourselves?
This is a freehold. It's not like it's a military-controlled world that's going to shoot you down when you enter the atmosphere. So,
but I just
much,
mean
yeah.
like the whole point of this was to be like on the sly, like and not be seen. So, should we just be pulling up to this place? Or should we call him and say, "Hey, where should we go where we will be seen? Where can we pull around the back?"
Funny thing about worlds being spheres, there's never really a back, is there?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, other people might see us, but the only actual record of us being there won't exist. So
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can't really threaten this individual over the phone in case they're not being cooperative. So we can twist arms physically, but I don't think we can do anything to them without actually being there to ensure that we've got a safe place to stay. Reed Morris does not endorse violence to get your away.
Saying quietly enough that Mira can't hear us.
I am just waiting for a declarative statement about what y'all are doing.
yeah,
Should I put the shit down?
we pull up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll be first out.
All right. So flying down towards Port Izel, you find that it is a bustling trading port town in the southern hemisphere of the planet. It is pretty distant from any of the more official centers of population here on the world. It's a little bit more out of the way, a little bit more reclusive. It does strike you as kind of a, look, if you want to visit this world but don't want to go through official checkpoints per se, this is the sort of place where you might land. And some of the other ships that are docked on these large floating platforms that are around one of the larger islands in this archipelago kind of denote that. There's definitely ships that are like, oh yeah, that's a mercenary ship right there, or that right there, that might be a slaver crew. Oh boy. And you would know that if that's the case, then that crew would be in a whole lot of trouble if they were found inside the Republic, because slavery is super illegal in this part of space, to the point where you can be summarily executed if you are found participating in the practice of slavery anywhere in Republic space.
Oh, can we find out? Can we find out if we're slavers and if those guys are slavers and go kill them? That's my new goal for this episode.
Nice low profile.
Mhm. But yeah, as you're coming down towards this place, you see that there is an empty spot on these large floating platforms, and you are contacted by the port authority that directs you down towards a particular landing pad number 29.
And question, Mike, the other ships here, when you pull up into like a parking space, right? Are the other ships there also pinging you? Like, is it a constant like back and forth between all ships no matter where they are? Or is it just like, hey, we entered the system, the only stuff that's pinging us is the like port authority?
If another ship is scanning you, they are trying not to be noticed. It's not something that you can see visually. The instruments aboard the Tiresian would be as such that if you wanted to see if anyone else was scanning you, you could definitely find that out.
Okay,
Ooh.
I just didn't know if it meant that the way that the systems work is constantly being aware of the position or identity of all ships all the time, or if it's like a one
You
and
have to
done.
actively do it.
If you were out in
Yeah.
space, yes, that is what would be happening because
Okay.
the ship's systems detects what's around it.
Mhm.
Ships that are landed on the ground, in all likelihood, probably aren't doing that, but you don't know.
Well, maybe, just do a quick scan, see if we're being scanned, just for safety.
Sure. And with the scanning instruments aboard the Tiresian, you'd be able to quickly determine that basically the main tower of Port Izel is tracking your entry via its etheric sensors, as well as a couple of other ships that are on the ground are also tracking your approach. And you can see that pretty clearly with the telemetry you have that they are a couple of Freehold gunships. So it's basically like the port cops are watching you as you're making your approach.
Now, are we talking bicycle cops or?
We're talking, these are fighter
Called
pilots who
Lark.
are like, if you're going to cause shit in this port, they're going to hop in their craft, fly up there, and shoot you down.
Okay, I was hoping more along the lines of like segways or something.
No, F-16s.
Well, I guess.
Well, that's
as long as
that's
you
a
don't-
dated aircraft model, so they're using older stuff. Okay, cool, got it.
Against your vessel with 0 weapons.
Hey, knowledge is power.
It's true.
Oh,
But yeah.
Have you been reading the archive, Amari?
The what? No.
It's one of
Holy
their
shit.
one of their phrases. If knowledge is power, then we are the most powerful organization in Dragon's Way Galaxy, I believe.
That's a pretty
That's
long
Is that
full
their
slogan.
tagline?
That's
It's one of
really
them.
long.
They bandied it
clips
around.
off the web page.
Damn.
Wow, it doesn't even. They don't even have it wrap around. Wow, that's
Mhm.
bad design.
Not known for its design. It's fairly utilitarian, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, put
Good to
the
know.
Tiresian down. And start.
I believe the archive's
Spinning down.
slogan would be Scientia est tellum, actually.
Oh no.
What does that translate to, Mike?
Who can say?
You can. You have the power.
Scientia-
You are God here.
Scientia what?
Est tellum.
Okay.
So as you land and come out onto dock number 29, you find yourselves on a sunny beach world. It is oppressively hot, but it's
Ugh.
a dry heat despite being on the ocean side. You've got this cool ocean breeze washing across the metal deck that you find yourselves on. There are these interconnected, basically floating pontoon platforms strung out along the ocean where these ships have all landed, and they are sort of constantly reorganizing themselves and being propulsed by little crystalline propulsive devices underneath the water to kind of shift the platforms closer or farther away from the main dock on this island. So it's like the island has kind of a tail of floating squares where all these ships have landed. And you can see the port town itself is a fairly middle-sized settlement. You'd guess it probably has a few thousand permanent residents with a lot of people coming to and from. There was a large market here that you can even see as your platform is being kind of like bubbled up towards the dock proper. And you can see that there are several large hotels. There seems to be some kind of resort on the beach. And there are a lot of other smaller, low buildings spread out over this what appears to be mostly tropical island. Several mountains in the distance rise up, covered in dense green foliage. Think like the big island of Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, as the platform is pushed forward, reorganizing itself around the other ships that have landed at Port Izel, you quickly find yourselves secured to the side of a large dock, essentially. And your own personal pontoon is attached to it for the time being. You hear magnetic clamps kind of sealing into place and causing the ground around you to go from kind of that bobbing of being on a water to the solid clunk of it suddenly being secured to something. Standing at the side of the dock is a large, burly-looking, appears to be Midrian, but a big Midrian. You immediately recognize them as some kind of stetter with the pure black eyes and just big frame. He has a shirt that looks like it probably had sleeves once, but his arms are of such a girth that the sleeves were deemed inoperable at a certain point, and so has now just revealed these broad shoulders and thick arms that are covered in tattoos.
I see we found my personal insert into the campaign. Perfect.
Who is this big man?
That's like 3 men taped together. This is gigantic, just lovely.
Some might call this a shaved Urson, but it is clearly Midrian as you make your closer approach. He is holding a data pad in one thick, meaty hand and is tapping it idly. And as you approach, you can see that his sun-drenched skin is just covered in what looks to be like burn scars of some kind. You don't know if it's just ages and ages of standing out in the sun for too long or actual like weapon fire damage at a certain point. It's also clear that one of his eyes is missing and has been replaced with an etheric replacement of some kind.
Did you say that Steaders were the largest individuals?
No, not
like
even
height wise.
No.
What would the tallest be?
Probably ogres or Taro.
Okay. Just trying to get a.
Yeah, it would probably go like ogres, Taro, Urson. Then it kind of gets a little like everyone's kind of in the same variance. Like the tallest Midrian is probably still about as tall as your average Leon or Lycan.
In the 6 feet to 7 feet. Yeah.
But like the shortest Leon or Lycan is always going to be taller than the shortest Midrian.
Okay.
And Steaders are like always going to be a head taller than most other Midrians. They big.
A big boy.
They average around like 7 feet tall. And yeah, this one is old, wrinkly, leathered, and clearly battle scarred in one form or another.
And
though whether or not those battles happened in the back alleys of a port or out in space, who's to say?
Yeah. And this is Emel.
Yes, this is Portmaster Emel. And he gives you all a broad, wide smile with what is clear to be teeth that have been replaced with aethite prosthetics. So he has these like crystalline teeth that are glitter in the sunlight.
Hell yeah.
Does it look like he had to get dentures replacements, or his mouth is just like iced out? Like that's where his money went.
Why not both?
I'm just curious. Does it look cool, or does it look like he had to like?
In
He
your
had no
professional opinion, it looks like dentures that they didn't bother like doing the enamel spray coat on. So this is just like what they look like raw off the factory floor. So either this is a personal choice or he did the cheapest possible option of a full teeth replacement thing.
Huh. Interesting.
Because like normally if a person would have their tooth replaced with some kind of crystalline replacement, it would be sprayed to look tooth colored as to not be super off-putting and glittery.
So he's got underglow for his mouth now.
It sparkles in the sunshine.
Okay.
And as you approach, he taps a few more times with a thick finger on his data pad and gives you all this big smile that is somewhere between a shark and a wolf.
Wolf shark.
Dark. Woo.
And Kala has joined you. Vesnus, after seeing the sunshine, has decided she wants to stay on the ship for now.
That's fair.
That's fair. Shay, has Shay had? I'm trying to parse the interaction that Shay was talking about earlier. Have you met this person before?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'll leave it up to you. If you
I
wanna
mean,
interact
like,
with this one.
admittedly, this is Elliot saying this. Admittedly, it was once when I was like 22. So it's probably not going to go great. But Shay is like, oh, and Mel, you don't look a shade different.
And Emel's smile will broaden and he will say, "It's a wonder what the sun can do for one. Welcome
Indeed
to
it
Port
is.
Izel. How can I be helping y'all?"
Well, no, this was quite a long time ago, but I was actually kind of hoping you could help me in the same way you did a few years ago.
I help a lot of folks
was-
around these parts, so you might have to jog my memory.
It's like,
Oh,
I
you know.
do not know who you are.
Yeah. Just a kid. Taken off from school. Trying to make a new way.
We see quite a few wayward students in these parts.
It'd be
Just
really hard.
curious, how much, would it take to jog one's memory?
Well, that depends entirely upon what sort of jogging needs to be doing, I suppose. I'm just looking for the signature of the captain of this here ship.
That would be.
Matt. Now, I don't know. We're a rather discreet bunch of folks. I ain't sure we're much in the sun and business.
That is a bit of a problem, my friend, seeing as I need the sig stamp of whoever your captain being, so we know who to charge for the docking fees and what have you.
Oh, well, that's this guy. And I'll like pat Mari on the like shoulder.
Oh, we weren't thinking of docking and running. Money is no issue.
Well, that's good. Then you should be able to cover all your fees.
Yeah, and maybe even something on the side.
And he kind of like squints at you for a moment and
And Shay is also squinting.
It's very bright out, to be fair.
Yeah,
so we're all
it's so
squinting.
bright. I forgot
He
my
can-
sunglasses in my room.
he can only squint with one eye because the other one is kind of like fixed open with
Yeah.
some cheaper on the side, like etheric replacements. Kind of has the classic cyborg look of the weird wraparound thing that makes the big eye lens.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I tap my spectacles and they shade.
Oh, damn it. You've got the... what is
The
it?
transition lenses.
Transition lenses, yeah.
And he will say to you, Shay, are you perhaps looking to have your docking expedited?
Yes. Yeah, I'd say that would be a real help.
I see. So, quick, easy, fast pass, if you will.
They got rid of that.
Not here,
It's
they
the genie
didn't.
pass now. Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Yeah. Quick, expedited shipping, and or quick expedited docking, and maybe we were maybe we weren't here.
Ah, I see. Well, in that case, you're looking for an unjogging of memory, I should think.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy enough. Few thousand jewels tossed into the expedited docking fees can unjog quite a few memories.
Oh, excellent.
We'll just title it service fees or something
Yeah.
like that. Under
And
miscellaneous.
he will pull out
items.
like a second smaller personal comm pad from a personal pocket, and he'll say, just have my own call set and forward me the fees, and I'll handle it personal-like.
Lovely. Always great to do business with you. Though this is only the second time, but also don't remember that.
And he will do this big wink that is mostly just a blink because his other eye doesn't have an eyelid. And will say, right enough. And
Take care of
how
all that.
many jewels do you forward to this shady individual?
He said a few thousand, right? Could probably kick him
Mhm.
like 3,500.
Yeah.
How many did we have? We had 23,000?
Like
20,000
20,000 something.
Okay.
Hell, I'll give him 4K. What the hell?
Okay. So 4,000 jewels out of your reserves and goes into the pocket of Portmaster Emel, and he will tap a few more keys on his larger data pad and say, welcome to Port Izel. I hope you have a fruitful stay.
Thank you very much.
And he goes stumping down the wharf to check in with some of the other port hands that are scuttling here and there, loading up trade vessels and moving about doing their dockly business.
Ooh, that was exciting.
All right, and Shay will stretch and crack their knuckles. I got a ship to examine.
Right. Now that we're here, what should we do?
Kala will slowly raise her hand.
Kala.
Did we just bribe that man?
No, we
Yep.
did not.
And touched my nose. And then look at Shay, just hands to their mouth. Yup.
Oh no, that's me trying to sound like I'm far away.
Oh, okay.
I'm inside the ship again. Yup.
All right, just making sure. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we bribed him to kill a puppy or something. He's just not going to tell anybody we were here.
I'm just making sure I know what just happened.
Does it look like business is happening in this port at all? Is there
Yes.
stuff going on? Okay, cool.
There are crates being moved to and from certain larger transport ships. Clearly cargo is making its way to and from this place. There, with an idle glance, you can tell that some of that cargo looks mighty out of place in this little out-of-the-way port town when it's got, like, imperial stamps on the sides of certain crates and, like, large amounts of corporate goods that's like, wow, that's a lot of Vorpalcorp goods for no ships with the Vorpalcorp logo on it.
Yeah.
I wonder how Vorpalcorp got out here. That's interesting.
I mean, Vorpalcorp is everywhere. It is the leading brand in everything, but...
That's true, yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure they purchased it legally. How else could they get it?
Yes. How else? Can I make some sort of check to, or like can I wander around and keep my ears open for like I'm not going to stray too far from the ship because it's a nasty neighborhood, but can I keep my ears open for like anything that might be of interest to us as a newly on the run a group of individuals? Like, say, can I see if anybody is transporting weapons?
And you're just, like, strolling around the wharf here? You're not necessarily making your way into town?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like some kind of investigation role of some sort. I don't know if you have any talents that fall into that.
Hey, listen,
Florian.
I don't have any talents in anything.
Florian, would you mind if I tagged along? Perhaps a separate pair of eyes might be beneficial.
Oh, yeah, actually, that might be a good idea. And I will just kind of like... I don't know if I make it obvious to Oswald what we're doing, but we're just investigating.
Sure, just like old times.
Yeah.
This does sound like a role to me, yeah.
What are we looking for?
I mean, I'd say just keep, a place like this, you might come across stuff that we wouldn't normally have access to, and anything that might be helpful to keeping us and the ship and Mira safe might be helpful. Also, I probably got to get some new duds at some point because these kind of I don't look like I'm a space traveler. I look like a fucking cowboy.
Do any of us really look like we're space travelers? I mean, I don't know if I do. I just wearing this.
I mean, yeah, we don't know exactly what resources Aegis Tech is going to be spending on finding us specifically. Like Mira,
A lot. Like a lot of them.
Probably
a
a
lot
lot,
of resources.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
So whatever we can do to
be unidentifiable, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, yes.
So this definitely sounds careful or quiet to me, then.
I am going to take careful.
All right.
Works.
So you're doing some sort of careful perception check of some kind with Oswald's assistance, throwing in your talent dice of, I believe you all have actually specifically investigation.
I do. I have a D8 in that.
Well, there you go. Then
Nice.
add a D8 to that roll.
Actually, Listman, I will let you roll that one.
Oh, sure. What?
Just because it's fun that way. And I'm going to throw some Aether on here.
Okay. And what are you specifically looking for?
I mean, I'm looking for weapons, but like if there is, God, I don't even know. Like burner phones or like signal jammers or anything that just might.
I think the main
burner data pads.
Be,
sorry.
Yes, the main priority would be something to assist Kala so that she doesn't have to keep like coming up with a random signal every time.
I mean, that's what Elliot is. That's what Elliot is doing right now on the ship.
It seems like to me the way you're describing it is you are looking for things that have to do with sort of espionage craft or skullduggery of a sort.
And like personal defense, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Like a shoe knife or, exploding wristwatch.
Sure. Cone of silence.
Yeah.
Got it.
Inflatable gun.
Laser
And or
lipstick from
boat.
Totally Spies.
Mhm.
And your search is contained primarily to the wharf, yes? Okay.
I don't want to stray too far. Like,
Mhm.
I'll follow if it sounds like people are, if I hear it mentioned, we can follow some fools, but I'm not going to like look in town. I want to stay close to the ship.
Okay. Sure. And this is going to be one of those, the higher you roll, the more you might have at your disposal kind of a roll. Though I'll say the baseline difficulty here is definitely 20, because people aren't just going to leave that sort of thing out in the open.
Yeah, for sure.
Get
Listen,
your guns. Get your guns here.
I rolled a 4.
4.
You want any spy equipment?
What you buying?
I don't know how Tortuga this place is.
Well, that's what this roll is to determine, I guess.
Is it more Tuga or less Tuga?
We're about to find out.
Question. Yes.
It might be more Tuga. That's a 29.
29.
Let me really, really fast. Let me make sure that I added that right, because I am bad at math.
And also, just one more and you'd have a critical victory, so just saying.
You could
Such
take
It's the
Wharf.
Warfo.
Honestly, this is like the perfect opportunity to use that. I know you were kidding, Mike, but you know what?
Oh, Mike's never really kidding when he's offering an Aether. Or
I wouldn't even put the really on there. I would say I'm never kidding when offering a void dice.
It's always on the metaphorical table.
Oh man, so good. I rolled exactly the amount to not have to roll another one.
Great.
So yeah, critical victory. It is now a 31.
Okay, excellent.
It added up and I was right.
As you poke around the wharf, Oswald in tow, Shay has gone back to the Tiresian. Amari, are you following your two other companions? Or you just hanging out near the ship?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the best thing, like acquisition wise, I should be trying to get. Is it upgrades for Tux to protect us? Is it stuff for the ship? I haven't quite settled on what I think is the best thing. So I also think I should probably get some new clothes because I'm still wearing Khol Foundation attire. Given that I probably don't have a lot. So I'm going to go clothes shopping.
So
And
Amari's
go pick
heading
up
into
some
town
outfits.
while
Makeover.
Fashion.
Florian and Oswald are poking around the wharf.
Makeover.
Florian, as you're poking around the wharf and just kind of like giving the air of stretching your legs and moving about and checking things out, you can see that the long wharf itself has about 13 like clamps positions where those big buoyed landing platforms can kind of float up and attach themselves to the long wharf that jets out into the ocean. And I would say about half of them actually have ships on them. So there's always a little bit of space in between each ship. Very rarely are the ships right next to each other. That seems to be on purpose. And of what you can see here and there along this wharf, it is less Tortuga-y than you might have initially assumed given the nature of the individual who greeted you. He seems to be a bit of an eccentric among the other people you're seeing here. Because while the goods that you're seeing loaded up are definitely a little conspicuous in terms of like, wow, that's a lot of single stuff from a single company to be in a non-company ship, you get the sense that maybe it actually was acquired legitimately and is being loaded up and transported to other destinations, and it just happened to be moving through this port. And from what you can see, it's a lot of supplies, honestly. colony stuff that you'd need to survive in a world that is less than at the height of the civilizational curve, as it were. Foodstuffs, seeds, things you might need to care for herd animals or large populations of people if they didn't really care about the flavor of food. The other thing you do notice is that there is the sketchier thing you see is a weapons shipment that is definitely crates that have the Zolkon Industries stamp on them, which is one of the larger military industrial companies that is run out of the Empire. It primarily makes its name by selling Legion surplus gear. And there's a lot of that over at one of the ships off to the side. And what is notable about that is, as you see the workers around this large cargo vessel that is clearly marked as some kind of Freehold Republic transport ship, like it's government run, they're coming at these crates not like somebody who can just like wave a data pad over them and open a crate like they have some kind of clearance to do so. They're coming at them with hacksaws and crowbars, and they're prying them apart by force. And you definitely like are traipsing past this, and from a distance it would just look like people prying apart crates and getting into boxes. But seeing all these little details as you get a little bit closer, you're just like, oh, okay. Like, things like this probably wouldn't look great if they were being done in one of the larger ports on this world that, in theory, an Imperial ship of some kind could just pop in and land. There's no reason it can't. The Freeholds and the Empire aren't at war, after all.
And there should hypothetically be, oh my god, the list that has all of the products that are in any given shipment.
Manifest, yeah.
Like a manifest being checked by a portmaster and sent to
Yeah. So the fact that this is happening here maybe gives you an idea of like the sketchiness level of this place. So while it's not perfectly on the level, it is sanctioned not on the level.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As we're kind of, what did you say, traipsing past?
Yeah.
As we're kind of walking past, could I try to catch the eye of one of these people?
Sure. You see a Midgean woman, probably in her mid to late 40s, but again, because of how aging works in this galaxy, she looks like very young. And she is kind of like wiping her brow. She's coming up with an armful of what looks like older model Zolkon rifles, and like stops as she's looking at you, and you give her kind of like the head nod.
Yeah. In fact, think I tilt my hat. Milady? No.
You see her kind of like nod slowly at you.
It's weird. We had to kick Olivia off the show. After that.
It's so odd.
Sorry.
Immediately banned. I will, sort of sidle up and howdy there, ma'am. How are you doing this fine day?
Working? Can I help you with something?
Yeah, my buddy here doesn't believe me. I was just telling him that I hear that all these big companies, Zolcom, Vorpalcorp, all those places, whenever they ship large amounts of anything, they always add extra because, things just go missing in transit so often. He doesn't believe me when I say that. Yeah, Oswald shakes his head like, that doesn't make any sense. But I figured you as a shipper of such goods might be able to enlighten him.
And she puts down her armfuls of rifle kind of to the side of one of the crates. All of them but one that she brings back up and kind of just offhandedly is holding with a casual ease, her finger near the trigger in a way that speaks of a certain amount of trigger discipline that you've seen out of certain ex-military individuals.
Yeah.
And she will say, yeah, funny how that keeps happening.
Yeah. I see. So I'm right there, Oswald. You are going to buy me a drink tonight.
Several, if seems like.
And you know,
Livia now contemplating how to dig out of the hole.
Oh no, I was contemplating how to dig further.
It's a very nice hole. It's a good hole.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow! This is really
This
good.
hole was made for me.
It's my hole.
Do I have to be standing in the hole, Florian?
I mean, does she
Vito
seem?
or is this holes?
Yeah. Does she seem like? Does she seem like upset, or does she seem like, oh, this is
Suspicious.
some thieves' can't like?
She seems like this stranger just walked up and started speaking in a way that is super sketchy, and she doesn't know what quite to make of you.
Okay, well then, yeah, I just say like, see, I told you I was right, and if she doesn't seem like she's receptive to this, we could just move on. I'm gonna steal these weapons later. She doesn't need to know that. It's fine.
You could purchase them.
Doesn't seem like she's willing to like let us purchase them from her.
Yeah, and again, this is just like some rando who is opening up boxes and moving supplies.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem to be the person who's in charge here.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So she is gonna eye you and like nod slowly and say, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work.
Oh yeah, of course. Have a good day. We
And
will.
you see her walk away from the crate, still only holding the one rifle, and walk over to another woman who is dressed a little bit more crisply, though still in what you would call civilian clothes, which are all these people are dressed in, and she will start furiously talking to this other woman, and they will both glance back towards you as you are starting to move away.
I'm gonna kind of like walk backwards and like keep an eye, and when they look back over, I'm gonna wave, just like very friendly.
Yep.
Low profile.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Okay. Well, we know they're there now.
So I guess I assumed we were going to be perhaps purchasing, but what's the game? What's the goal?
Well, if they're shipping, it doesn't seem like they're in the purchasing or in the they're not in the selling trade, they're in the shipping trade. I was hoping sometimes if you come across the right sort of folk, they'll just, bump one off the wagon for you.
Yes.
Oh, a wagon is like a small wheeled cart. It rolls. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay,
I'll just take your
crazy.
word. I'll just take your word for it. It's one of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
Akalar things, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But so should we have been more explicit? Do you think? Like, hey,
No,
perhaps
I
we
don't-
should pick up one of those extra ones.
I mean, we could always go into town and see if there is anyone selling, but
It's true.
It don't seem like. Ugh. Problem is, you have to get licensing done, and then it's usually trackable. And
I would imagine in most, well, I suppose civilized is a subjective term, but we'll go with that for now. Society. Well, hopefully that's. So are we going to go back and take some? Is that what we're going to do?
I mean, like that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna do.
Now, here's my question, Florian. Now, have you done something like this before? Have you stolen or purchased something?
I have not personally stolen a gun per se, but I have been there when weapons were acquired less than illicitly. Yeah.
Scrupulously.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, Florian, I'm not actively recording you right now, so you don't have to...
No, I've been there when sales have gone down, but no, I haven't actually stolen guns.
I suppose you have to know somebody, right? That seems to make sense. You have to be in the know.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I was hoping for someone a little more friendly, but don't always happen that way.
Meanwhile, in town, Amari, you are looking
hands
to buy
Amari a gun.
some clothes. Strolling into Port Isel, you find that it is a pretty bustling port town. It seems as though this place does a brisk trade of people doing trade. The business here is business. People coming to and from. There is a bustling market in the center of town as you pass in. It appears to be goods and services offered from many corners of the galaxy. There are stalls and booths that like crisscross. It's kind of like a flea market vibe to it. There's definitely like stuff that has fallen off the back of the proverbial wagon.
Okay.
Not that you would know what a wagon is. It needs to be explained. It's a Akalar thing. But
if it's an Akalar thing, I don't care.
That's fair.
There's definitely at least one booth that you see as you're coming into this place that is like a long rack with shirts hanging off of hangers, and each of the shirts is these massive, billowy, button-down floral print monstrosities. So that's the first clothing you see.
Pop-up Tommy Bahamas.
Oh, you wish it was that classy.
Oh, no. Okay, well...
the surrounding area is like low buildings of businesses. There are restaurants and cafes here. There's a tall hotel off towards the beach that appears to be some kind of resort or another. Nothing here is fenced off necessarily, and there isn't a lot of traffic outside of foot traffic in this place. Seems that everyone kind of leaves their ships at the dock. And there's no like ground transports here. It's all just walking speed.
That's fine. I dig that compared to like the gigantic superstructures of was it Talgan 3? Talgan 3 and Asclepsis. Yeah, this is a bit more my speed.
Yeah. I will say it is not as culturally or species diverse as you're maybe used to seeing on the Storm's Repose or other places you've been. It's a lot of Midrians.
Okay.
There's a scattering of others. You definitely see a booth being run by a few larger avia specimens. Definitely, you're coming to realize that Oswald is unusual in his stature.
He's very wee. He's so small. Okay, cool.
So what are you looking for?
I guess I'm looking for not necessarily a Goodwill, but like a second-hand store, perhaps maybe, given the items being shuffled through here on the wharfs, perhaps there is a sort of military surplus, given that there was a war that had happened within the last, 5 years. Perhaps there is some, surplus in terms of like clothing, not necessarily weapons, but just like
sure
base outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heading through this place. You kind of like poking around, and it's a lot of, like I said, stuff that's maybe like fallen off the back of the truck, stuff being sold here. So it's not necessarily used. It is newer items that are being sold out in the open. For the more like shonky shop kind of slightly used stuff, you're directed towards a low, long building towards the northern end of the settlement that has this kind of dilapidated look to it. It is a broad, open storefront with kind of like a porch that runs along the front of it, with a shaded lean out over the eaves of this single-story building. You can see a single entrance that is flanked by these broad, open windows, and the windows are just filled with, at first glance, you would call it junk. It is just random stuff. You ever walk by one of those antique stores that is called an antique store on the top header of the signage, but like really it looks like somebody's just heaped all the garage sales they could find into the windows and the shelves of this place.
Oh yeah.
It's a building, it's called Stuff and Things. It's in Garibaldi, Oregon, and I'm not kidding.
The what is it? Eagle Outlet Store over in Milwaukee as well. Or there's plenty of stores like this
in Portland. I want to say there is
perhaps.
one.
Oh, I don't know. I've only seen it in
Yeah, in
Garibaldi.
Belmont.
But leastways, you know the sort of store I'm describing.
Oh yeah.
It is an accumulation of stuff and things. And there is a sign out front with a roughshod triangle kind of like carved into a piece of what looks like driftwood. And it says Faro Exports on it.
Okay. Does it have a lot of people inside the shop, or does it look fairly like...
You can't really see past
like
the
lazy
layers
day.
of junk into the store itself.
Okay. All right. Well,
It seems
And
as
I
though
go.
each of the windows is kind of blocked by a shelving unit with a bunch of stuff on it. So you
Okay,
can probably
do I
see
see
what's on
people
those shelves
coming in
from
and
the
out?
inside. Oh, yeah, you'd see people coming in and out. And the
Okay,
front
well,
door
yeah.
doesn't even have a door, it just has a beaded curtain.
love it. Cool. Must be a pain to heat that.
And you can see
But
that
we're
there's
on a-
like a rolling grate above you underneath the eaves that could probably be pulled down in front of the entrance.
Okay. Cool. In I go.
Okay. Pushing the beads aside, you see that this place is fairly busy. There are people poking around like you would see inside of a Goodwill, just like moving through racks of things and kind of like lifting objects up and putting them back down and shuffling through the shelves of this place. It is a lot of shelves, mostly shoulder to like chest height shelves of differing sizes. Clearly, they're not all uniform in make or model. And there is an assortment of just stuff. It doesn't seem to be organized in any way, shape, or form. There are piles of clothing. There are sometimes racks with clothing on hangers. There's like a coat rack with a bunch of coats on it, but the coat rack also has a price tag on it.
Everything is for sale here.
Everything. As you're
Everything you
passing
see.
by one of the shelves, you see that like, yep, there is a price tag on the shelving unit.
Okay. So there's no discernible like organization to it, or is it like there's clothes over here, there's items over here, there's like...
It seems like that's maybe how it started, but then as people like picked things up and moved them around and nobody bothered to return them to the spot where they're supposed to go, there's been a sort of continental drift of items in this place over the years that like the way you can see how continents fit together once upon a time, you can maybe see, if you stood at 3,000 feet and looked down at this place, where the items maybe began and slowly drifted over time.
Mm-hmm.
But from the ground level, it is an indiscernible chaos of stuff.
Does it look like there are people like working here, or is it mostly like visible like customers just meandering?
Customers meandering, you see in the distance near the back of this place, and it is maybe about a like 50 meters away from you, half a football field is the back wall of this place. You see that there's what looks like a sales counter back there.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm gonna start looking for some clothes.
Okay. What style are you trying to put together here?
Not full blown like military. I'm looking for something that can get like a little roughed up, multi-purpose. I have a specific look in mind for a Murray, and it's very silly. And by silly, I mean it's reference from a character from some other form of media.
Of course.
But yeah, think a lot like the original owner of the Buster Sword. So not
I
a
see.
Yeah, so
So
not
you're
a
looking-
blonde-haired individual, but a dark-haired individual.
You're looking like Soldier the acronym, not Soldier the job. Got it.
Minus the shoulder pads. I don't need that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is
So,
it
like-
without the shoulder pads, though? I mean,
Well,
shoulder pads are everything when it comes to
well,
soldier.
Cloud has one shoulder pad. Zach has two. Now I
Mhm.
need to be the third one and have none.
So you do have the sleeveless turtleneck, but
Oh
just
yeah,
not
yeah. No,
the
that's
shoulder
that
pads.
has to be
Okay,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
Just want to
Got
make
it.
sure.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
baggy pants, maybe a few too many belts, some work boots, and a sleeveless turtleneck.
Yep.
Check,
Yep.
and check.
If I'm making him fly, like drive around a mech and everything, he needs to look like some sort of anime protagonist.
I
so,
mean, I don't see why
plus
not.
cat.
Now, are the
So,
pants
yes.
still purple?
I don't think they're gonna be purple.
Okay.
I would do like a black, and maybe throw some built-in knee pads on them too, just for extra bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. These are some carpenter's pants kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, you could probably put something like that together. It's all very well worn, well used. Nothing here has not seen a lifetime of love, if not abuse.
So inconspicuous. I love it.
So
I mean, it's better than wearing a Khol
They're
Foundation
gonna be
outfit.
they're gonna be like, who is this fashion icon?
as Catman Zach makes his way towards the purchasing counter.
All right, I beat the RPG. I won the fashion game.
You come upon the customer ahead of you is apparently haggling. Apparently that's a thing you can do here. And they have an item on the counter, and they are haranguing the shop owner to like give them a better deal on it. Clearly, like, this item's been used. It's got all these imperfections to it. You can give it to me for a lower price. And the person behind the counter is, I couldn't give it to you for any lower than 50 joules. 50 joules is as low as I can go.
We did
And-
it.
As you come up to this spot, you see behind the counter is a Rini man of middle age. His furry head is slightly balded on the top. He's got kind of like a alopecia thing going on where the hair is thinning above his broad ears. But otherwise, he has like very fine golden fur that covers his body. A wispy tail comes out from behind him and twitches in agitation as he is haggling. He is wearing what looks like a worn kind of martial arts gi of some kind, but the sleeves have been torn off. It seems to be a day for torn off sleeves, or maybe that's just the fashion of this place.
It's just the fashion. It's cool. It's very, very cool.
And he has a great many earrings along his left ear, kind of like pierced up along the ear and over the top of it. And he finally harangues this customer of his down to 50 joules, and they nod and trade, and the customer taps a bit on a data pad, and the money is transferred. He looks at you as this customer ahead of you leaves with their purchased goods. It appears to be some kind of piece of technology with wires and an antenna sticking out of it. You have no idea what it does. And he would say, welcome, welcome, please come forward. I see you have found what you're looking for. But your interactions with this new and mysterious NPC will have to wait until next time. Because as always, you can find us online at MatcomRPG on Twitter and Instagram. You can also email us at materialcomponentsrpg@gmail.com. We always love hearing from all of our listeners.
You can find me on Twitter at CryOutOlivia. I am always there talking about D&D and other RPGs and also just a lot of other nerd stuff. So come hang out.
You can find me on Twitter at Elliot C. Lewis. I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, doing a lot of tabletop RPG and other fan art. You can also support me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Links to both of those are in my Twitter profile.
You can find me at The Readamus on Instagram and Twitter, where I post jokes and lots of photos of nature, so come check it out.
And you cannot find me on social media, but what you can do is support our show by rating and reviewing it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Please, please, please do so.
Indeed, and finally, you can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at MKGorgoni, where I'm always happy to talk about all things material components. But as always, the world is chaos, so please, be kind to each other. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.